Dave, thanks so much for coming on the podcast. How are you?
Horrible. It's been too busy today, but that's okay. Business is hard, guys. Don't do it. But no, I'm just joking. It's been a good day.
What's payments like? Tell us, because we haven't had someone on the podcast before, to my knowledge, for a while at least, that is in the payment space.
Yeah, most people are, oh, frick, payments. This is going to be a boring. Let me listen up, everybody. The payments is very exciting. And the reason why I like being in payment processing, what I mean by that is credit card, debit card processing, or ACH, any form of transactional payments. That's what we're involved in. So when you guys are shopping online or offline, you're going to buy something at your favorite Shopify store, you're going to buy something, an ice cream down the street, or you're going to pay the guy who cleaned your windows. What you didn't know is there's a middle person that's making money on that transaction, whether it is Stripe or PayPal that marked it all the way up, or it is the actual banks or someone who set up a merchant account, is what it's
Mm.
called. There's a middle person who is making a percentage on every single transaction. One of our oldest personal accounts is almost now 17 years old. Imagine doing something once, setting someone up once to accept payments online or offline, or saving someone money who's an existing business to still accept payments online or offline. And after doing one action, getting paid for another 5 or 10 or 15 years. So that is essentially, in a nutshell, what it comes down to with payment processing. One of the most exciting things about the business is you get to speak to a million different types of business owners, successful and non-successful, online, offline. So you're getting a wide education on business and all facets of business, because when you're actually seeing people's processing statements and seeing about their business, they can't really BS you when they're killing it when you're actually seeing their numbers, right? So when they're telling you something that works, and you see a bank account and a processing statement, you're like, yeah, that must work. That must work pretty
Mm.
good. There's not that. It takes away that Instagram front. Imagine like laying across a Lambo and like, here's my bank account. Okay, cool. I
Yeah,
see
yeah,
what you're
yeah.
talking about. So that's payments in a nutshell.
That's very, very interesting. And the point that you made there was you set up a customer like once
Yep.
and you can get residual sort of income from them for your business for the next sort of 15, 20 years. Like, you know, every business uses payments to some capacity for sure. Like even
Yep.
a lot of payment, yeah, every business online or offline, as you mentioned, and the customer lifetime value is probably the highest out of any industry that I've seen. That's the interesting thing here. So I guess my question for you, Dave, is how did you first get into payments?
Yeah, my wife was in it. My wife's been in it for 22 years. I was like a lot of you that were maybe starting companies or thinking about what to start. I owned a bike company at that time. I've owned companies my whole entire life. At that time, it was a bike company, and employees, overhead, every single day resets. It was great. It was a lot of fun, online, offline. But it's you do 100 grand on Monday, cool. Freaking Tuesday, that's over. Oh shit, gotta
Mm.
keep on going. I was tired of that. I was tired of all that. And after hearing about her business, I was like, what do you mean you continue to get paid after doing one thing? Imagine, it's kind of like, imagine being a realtor, right? Where you keep selling the same house to the same person every month for 10 years.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can really equate it to. And then after I set you up with payments, I'm like, yeah, let's talk about payroll. Let's talk about funding. Let's talk about marketing. Let's talk about other services. Because I'm a brand payment and business expert, not a number. Anyone can Google how to set up a merchant account. I'm going to help you scale your company. Why are you
Mm.
doing that? Because if I can take you from $500,000 to $1 million a year, I'm going to double what I make. So if I can make you more money, can I make more money? Right. So the payments industry is very fascinating as we evolve with crypto, as we evolve in different verticals. Dispensaries is still illegal, but as we devolve from the CBD to this to the metaverse to all these things, doesn't matter. We evolve with it. And the
Mm.
technologies, we just evolve with that, or we build the technologies. The technology
Yeah.
aspect is also very interesting as well. And if you are going to start your own company, you can cut out the middle person and be the person actually making money on your own credit card processing for your business. So there's all different ways to make money, but there's no licensing. You can move around from state to state. You can go after accounts from state to state. There's no requirement to continue to bring deals to get paid. So if you land an account tomorrow, let's say it pays you $10,000 a month, and you might go surf in Bali for a year, go surfing. As long as your guy's processing, your girl's processing, you'll continue to get paid. That's the
Mm.
beauty of this.
Tell me, this is an interesting one because you owned a bike shop before, you met your wife, and then you transitioned into payments. What's interesting for me is that you weren't in payments before. You were obviously managing payments being in a bike shop, but you weren't building any technology within that space. So, what's very interesting to me is that transition that you made going into the payment space without probably any knowledge with what's involved, how many layers are involved. I used to be in fintech, so I know it's very, very complicated how many layers are involved. People don't really realize that. So I guess the question that I have here is for people who know how complicated the layers are and how many people like middlemen there are, between the person getting paid and the actual merchant. For you coming in as a new person, like I guess how easy was it for you to transition into that?
Well, I had Patricia, right? So I had literally my wife is probably one of the most leading person in the world in payments, right? She's landed and has some of the biggest e-com clients in the world. She was
Mm,
one of the people helping, which some of you guys may be really young. We couldn't always accept payments online. That wasn't always a thing. She actually was back in the day, 22 years ago, or whatever. I should look those facts up. It's somewhere around there. Don't fact check me, but it's somewhere around there, was helping the first company start selling online when it wasn't
mm,
a thing, right? So she has seen every shift because when it first started, it was just adult. That's what it was. It was people, adult websites. And after having my wife is now where people get to have my wife, my wife, and our team help them. They get to have a Patricia like I had. That's
mm,
my wife. And a lot of people need to be held accountable. A lot of people need to be pointed in the right direction. A lot of people need people to help them win their deals or do all the things that are very complicated, right? We
mm,
don't have to make this harder. So we have a program where people can join and they can pay us one time and we'll, partner with them. They own their own company and help them not have to worry about all this crazy and, analytical things that really come with payments. But by doing it with them, they eventually learn. But it's not like school where you have to wait 2 or 3 or 4 years. You don't have to wait your turn. If you got a big account tomorrow, you can't land it on your own because you don't own your payment. You're about to start your payments company. You have no credibility, and quite frankly, you don't know what the hell you're talking about. But I do.
mm,
So imagine if you go, let me get my partner Dave on the phone, and we win that business together, right? So that's where we do that for people. But I built a CRM company. I built a software company. I don't know code. I've never done it before. I just I just know myself, and I know my drive. I also have money, right? So that's a thing. Money does help when it's not as risky. Money, drive, and essentially the guts to do it, to take that risk. Most people are so scared of failing. I know that if I control something, I can't fail because I believe in
mm,
myself so much. I'd rather take everyone else out of the equation. So that's where, I truly believe in. Everyone's like, "Hey, Dave, how much do you invest in the stock market and crypto?" I'm like, a little bit, and compared to what our worth is, like a little bit. But I only invest in things I can control, and this is something anyone can control on how they want to run their company and how they want to land accounts. And that's what's beautiful of it. It's in your back pocket for the rest of your life. So whether you want to go a little bit or all in, or go all in for a year, take a break for a year, come back for a year, that's what's great about it is you have this in your back pocket to make money off it for the rest of your life.
mm. So I'm conscious because people must be listening to this and getting interested into payments. Like, what is it all about? Is there a potential business I can build within the payment space? Because it sounds incredible. So tell me, what are the barriers to entry? I guess for actually starting a payments company. So for someone that might not have any knowledge of what payments are, what are the barriers to entry? How can they get started?
Yeah. So how it's been before we, we've done something completely different. It's never been done before, and quite frankly, everyone in payments hates us for it. But I don't care. I always tell everybody, you're either with me or against me. You can be pissed off in the corner. We're gonna run you over. Come join us, right? So most part, you go to Square, Stripe, or PayPal, and they don't have middle people, but they keep it all themselves. They're making that middle plus them. Then you
Hmm.
have banks and payment processing companies who hire people to go and hit the streets and go sell hard. Who the hell wants to do that? No one wants to cold call people or knock or work as an employee. So then we built something where like everyday people can learn this business. Business owners can do this for their own business. Business owners know other people who own businesses. They can make money off this. So we made our program only $1. $1 to join. And I'll tell you the catch because Dave, what's up? I will tell you because there's nothing wrong with upselling somebody if there's value involved in it. Let's be very
Mm,
clear about that. So dollar, you pay $1, you come in, you learn everything. Cool. Take the knowledge and go do it on your own. 1000% it's going to take you more time. 1000% you're going to make mistakes. 1000% you may fail. You may succeed, but by yourself, you need to be a strong minded individual to learn everything and not have someone supporting you every step of the way and be successful.
mm,
We know what that narrow window is for someone being successful. So someone comes to us and is like, Dave, I want your team to do everything. Okay. You want us to help you with the sales, the apps, the support, the trainings, the weekly, everything. Just be you need us, we're there. Your right hand person, essentially
Mm,
your franchise you're buying into, where the franchise owner and his whole team are also going to work inside your franchise. We charge anywhere from 5 to 10K for that. One or two accounts can pay for that. And what they get is us for at least a minimum of a whole year doing everything for them because we have a vested interest because we own some of the payment processing companies that they're boarding accounts through. So I have a vested interest for them to be very successful. So I'm betting on myself because I know what I can do. They're the only variable here. We've trained thousands of people to make millions and millions and millions. And I know that I'm betting that if you, all you have to do is make a relationship, find out what they're using, and get them on a call and get a statement. And then if we are able to win that business, I want to make money with you on those accounts for the next 10 years. So we try
mm,
to make it as inexpensive as possible to start a company. So imagine for under 10 grand, be able to own your own company that you don't have to buy leads, you don't have to pay for marketing. All you have to do is maybe set up your incorporation, which we have partners for that for a couple $100. If you don't, we're primarily B2B, but if you're a hustler and you're looking, we can help you. Um, and that's it. Nothing else. Get a digital business card for $2.99. Get a copy of our CRM software if you want. You'll have your own dashboard where you'll be able to track all your clients, all your applications, and all the residuals you are making on all of your clients. It's all transparent. So
mm,
imagine paying, let's say 5 or 10 grand for a business that prints you cash for another 10 years. No
mm.
brainer in my mind.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. And but the thing is, a lot of like I guess people listening are from they might not be from the US, they might be from Europe, they might be from
Yep.
Asia. The payment infrastructure obviously looks incredibly different depending on the jurisdiction that you're in.
Correct.
So I guess would they if you guys aren't available in to have the knowledge of the jurisdiction in the place that they're in, how can they do it themselves?
So we are going to be opening up Canada and the UK shortly because we have our relationships there. That's kind of where we stop the puck with ourselves. We don't really go into. We have partners
Mm,
that go into Asia and stuff like that. Um, but the reason why we're still in payments today and we own our companies. Like we're business people. We're not coaches. No offense for any coaches. Coaches is cool. We have a lot of coaches that we process for. It's just not my thing. We used to have like level. And I'm like, dude, I feel so weird. I'm like, I don't need money from someone. And I feel so weird upselling people. I'm like, why can't I just hit him in the face and what the price is? And like, oh, well that like people are like, they tell me like, Dave, well, why are you charging 10 grand? Like that's ridiculous. I'm like, I gave you all the knowledge for $1. You're just fucking lazy and you don't want to do it on your own. So if you come and mow my lawn for a year, right, for free, because that's what you're asking of me,
mm,
gladly give you the course. I'll give you my address.
mm.
It's kind of like, so that's where, we have our one cost. So if people are in different countries, unfortunately, I'm the only game in town. No one else has what we have. We built the world's largest training platform and point blank period, right? I am going to go into Canada. I am going to go into the EU. But they could probably start off if they're in a different country that we're talking about and teaming up with a processor and see if, they can just sign up as an agent. Now they're not going to have what we give, but it'll take them a little bit longer, but you could become an agent for a processor in a different country,
Mm.
depending on the regulations. But yes, to your point, that's why we kind of stick with the US in the beginning because different regulations, different interchange, different everything when it
Yeah.
comes to different countries.
Yeah, I've given my background, I've actually done projects on payments infrastructure, and
Mhm.
the infrastructure in the US is actually a lot further behind like other countries. People don't really realize that. The UK and the EU are very far ahead when it comes to payments compared to the US, and I think Canada's like more in line with the UK and Europe, I would say. But so for people that are living in the UK and Europe, I this is the question I had for you was is it more difficult now given how complicated and I guess more advanced the infrastructure is? And for you guys moving to the UK, obviously you guys have knowledge of this. So is the opportunity still there within the UK and Europe?
Correct. And we have partners in the UK and Europe. The only thing is, I literally, my plan is to eventually get a place in Scotland part time. Is they're just so slow.
What's slow? What's slow?
Just like slow. They're like, we're going out to lunch. Like, no one's in the office. Like, what do you mean no one's in the office? Like,
Oh, as in like the work culture.
it's
Yeah, 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 I get what you mean.
it's just like I can get accounts approved the same day there. It's like a week. And it's just like, We only deal primarily with like big e-com clients for Europe and UK. I don't dealing with the brick and mortar in those countries. So online, 1000%. That's pretty much has been our only focus. But yeah, it's just it doesn't matter if you have a guy who does $5 or $10 million a month and you have to wait some extra days. Okay, they're fine with that. But when it's
Mm.
people need a process and they can go to Stripe or PayPal and get instantly set up, and you're telling them a few extra days because it's a little bit longer in Europe and UK. Well, then I don't know. It's just sometimes it's just not worth it.
Mm. You said something quite interesting to me before we hit record, and you said something around if you already have a business, e-commerce, for instance, and you want to move away from Stripe, Square, but obviously you don't want to make a whole nother business entirely to do payments because that's not your primary business. You can still create technologies or some sort of a system where you can cut out those people.
Yeah, you can hit me up. You can be your own agent on your own account. So whoever sets you up, or Stripe, let's say Stripe or PayPal sets you up, you may be paying 2.9 and 30 cents right now to process payments via Stripe or PayPal, right? Random number. Oh, that's not a factual number, but just a random number we'll use right now. You may be paying 2.9 and 30 cents, but the hard cost may be 2.1 or 2.2 or less or a little more. So let's say the hard cost is 2.2. Let's not use the transaction, the 30 cents. Let's go 2.9 is what you're paying, but your hard cost, meaning on the card issuing side, the actual card companies and the card issuing banks, um, you know, there's zero point 0.7 there left for over, right? There's zero point 0.7 that you're paying a difference. We allow people to join us in the same day. There's no extra cost. It only costs you $1 to join. You can join and instantly put money back in your pocket. So it's not learning a new funnel. 9 times out of 10, the software or the platform you're on, ClickFunnels or whatever you're using, or whatever you're using for your business, sometimes can stay exactly the same. And it's just a switch in the back end. And then you'll get a direct deposit every single month, the residual income you're earning on your own credit card
Mm.
transactions. And then every single time, without fail, after they do that, they go, shit, I know people too. Okay, well, then you got to pay me for that, right? It's
Mm.
because of for our team to do all that because they're busy. They're like, Dave, most people are like, I don't even want to learn payments. I'll shake, you bake. I'm going to bring them, you close them. By all means, you stay in your lane, I'll stay in mine. We'll be just happy, right? And then they have full reporting of all their clients and everything that's going on with them.
What do you mean by becoming an agent? Because you talked about say like we talked about like you can in other jurisdictions outside of the US and even the UK and Europe, it's like we have audience in Asia and Africa. So you said that they can become an agent for another person, another sort of company, and then you guys are saying you can become an agent for us. What does that mean exactly? And what's the sort of benefit for becoming an agent for a company such as yourselves or such as a company like Stripe or PayPal or Square?
So you're owning your own payments company. It's just the industry term as an agent, the person who facilitated the deal, right? That we just call you an agent. But you would own your own payments company. So if you start, let's say, the Millennial Payments Company,
Hmm.
right? Like that's what it is. But
Yeah.
you're a CEO of that company, but you're the actual agent that's registered, that's bringing the deals through. Whatever you sign the forms, you got your direct deposit. You're not facilitating the transactions because the payment processing company is. You're creating your own payments company that is going to be driving the deals through the actual payment processing companies who are legally allowed to process the payments.
Got
Does
you.
that make sense?
Got you. Yeah, so you're basically bringing in business for the other guys, but just because
Well,
because
you can't legally process the payments
yeah,
unless you're registered with the card brands and put up a shit ton of money and have been in this industry for a very long time,
but
right?
you
Because
guys
what if
you guys are registered.
Oh yes. What if they let anybody register and run cards? Can you imagine what would happen out there? It would be the biggest drug rings of everything would be factoring cards and this and that. And yes, because we take all the exposure.
Mm,
Your guy does $100,000 in sales when we're doing the underwriting, and he gets $100,000 in chargebacks, and he's got 5 grand in his bank account. Well, who's freaking taking the flop? I am, not you,
mm,
right?
yeah,
So there's a balance act of who you're boarding, what you're boarding, doing full underwriting and full due diligence. No differently than getting a mortgage for a home. Same type of thing. You are the mortgage broker. You don't own the mortgage company.
yeah. That's a very good analogy, actually. Like you don't. I guess yeah, same thing. You're not registered to give out a mortgage, but you're bringing in that sort of business, and because you're providing that knowledge that the mortgage company probably
And
wouldn't have done.
you're Even if you own a real estate firm, let's say you're not the agent, let's say you are the Berkshire Hathaway and you have, and by the way, you can have hundreds of people below you. And we have
Yeah.
all, it all tracks inside of our system. Just because you own Berkshire Hathaway, but you don't own the house you're selling, you're the agent. Even if you're
Mm,
the owner of Berkshire Hathaway and you are representing a client, you would say, I'm the agent on this listing.
mm.
Same thing.
Yeah. Dave, I wanna wrap up the podcast with a few questions about, I guess, the future of payments. So where do you see the future of payments going into? Because I know loads of people are very interested in getting into payments, but from a technology standpoint. So where do you see in terms of like technology and regulation, or like, where do you see it going in the future?
I mean, it's just going to be something that it's going to be something that I don't even like. Just going to be maybe something. It must sound crazy, but like something where it's either glasses or a watch or something where it's just or it's something you can get tattooed on you with your QR code of that's linked to everything, and you just everywhere you go, just something just really weird. Because we already have the near field technology, which everyone's familiar with. You put your phone near it, you put
Yeah,
your
yeah, yeah.
you know um and we're a long way away from crypto completely taking over everything. I will guarantee you that. It took tens of years just for CBD to even be allowed to for processing of payments. So for anyone who's interested in even getting involved in this, like we're just going to keep evolving. That's kind of the beauty of, like, we're not the ones that are getting xed out of the equation. And that's
Mm,
where it really comes to people as the future of any industry you're going to be involved in. As the future of any industry, you need to be the innovator in your industry, and you need to not just be, oh, I just provide merchant accounts. Well, I don't know, but you could eventually be replaced because then maybe it's all just done online and they don't need you anymore. I don't think that'll ever
mm,
be a thing because a lot of people like that personal touch. But um, you know, I think that you're going to need to be able to, like I said, branch yourself out to become a brand payment business expert, to be so much more than just offering a merchant account. Now, the thing that I'm seeing and what we're building and what a lot of people are building is people are sick and tired of this checkout cart with this funnel, with this link, with this CRM, with this merchant account, with this Zapier, with this automation. And it's like, dude, I got fucking 50 things that like people want all-in-one
yeah.
solutions, and that's why Shopify won. They won the race, and that's why a lot of these companies won, because here's the price, here's how it works, boom, you're set up. So that's the future of the people who are going to really win big, and the agents will still resell this stuff. But like I'm talking about, like the billion dollar plus
Mm.
exit people
It's
are
about the
going to be the people.
packaging more than the
Yeah,
actual
the
process.
packaging of
Yeah, yeah.
everything. That's where it's going to be.
I completely agree with you. It's the modularization of payment tools to make it accessible to kind of everyone rather than having to do it themselves. Because
Yep.
as you said, payments is everywhere, but making small elements of that easy to access for businesses is extremely useful and extremely powerful for startups that want to get into
Yeah.
this space, for sure. I completely see that.
Yeah, and it's not anything right now. A lot of people have tried it. I think the dollar and any currency for that matter, eventually may go null and void. Not just to crypto, but what I mean is, like, you might be able to buy a loaf of bread at a store, or you might be able to buy a car online, and with that loaf of bread, barter your lawnmower for it, or something, or your time, because
Oh,
that's what actually.
like the back old, like the olden, like the other, like olden days.
Well, what's the most valuable thing that people have? Time. So what if you
Mm,
could barter time? Hey, I don't got $5 for this, but I want to barter right now 20 minutes of my time to wash dishes in the back. What
yeah.
about a platform that allows people to barter time? Congratulations to whoever's going to build it after me saying it today, but that's something where that's our commodity. A lot of people have that commodity. That's the one thing everyone has, and no one can take away from them. Well, some people.
Mm.
Well, some people take that time away. That's a stupid statement, but that's something I think in the future as well, is we're going to see different forms of actual outside of crypto, of different ways people are paying, but still that middle person facilitating that.
Yeah, that's something I've never even thought about before. That's a really good point. Dave, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. It's such a pleasure having you on. So many different things that I've never even thought about. So, yeah, really, really interesting. How can people stay in touch with you and what you're doing in the future?
Just go to Meet the Carlins on Instagram. One of our links is on there. Meet the Carlins, Carlins. Meet the Carlins. Residual Payments is obviously our one company, but that link's on there on Meet the Carlins. And find us on there, and look forward to working with you guys.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dave, for coming on the podcast again, and I'm sure we'll speak very soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you.